Hi, thank you for tuning in to the Kaylie and Carol Show again. And today we are going to talk about spiritual growth and spiritual escapism.
This is actually, I feel like, one of the most interesting topics for me. I feel like that I'm the one that wanted to talk
Yeah,
about this. And I brought it up to Carol. So we were talking about it beforehand,
for a good half hour.
just collecting our thoughts because even like, and I almost wish we were recording some of that because even we had some disagreements with like explaining what it is, what spiritual escapism is, and differentiating between real spiritual growth versus using spirituality to escape or like ignore certain realities within your life and kind of pretend like everything's okay, kind of like toxic positivity. We talk, I mean, if you watch our later episodes, everybody knows one of our biggest standpoints is honoring your emotions. I feel like we talk about it every single episode. It's a big thing that we try to teach and share, and understanding yourself. And I feel like this topic kind of helps people explain, helps us explain to people, the difference between real growth versus just trying to protect yourself in certain ways.
And one of the things I was saying pre-recording is I don't know, I don't connect to it personally a lot because I am someone who I feel wears my heart on my sleeve and my emotions on my sleeve. And you can ask her, I feel like I could be super happy and motivated and one day and a complete mess the other day. So I feel like I really feel, and I'm not, there was a time when it was harder probably to express my feelings or get to the root of it. But now I wouldn't deny the feeling or I wouldn't bypass over it.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I don't know if we could talk about this because I like to relate to it. I like
Yeah.
to understand it. And I'm like, no, tell me when I'm when I'm doing this. And because I am someone who is always very conscious of my
Yeah.
growth and wanting to grow and wanting to when there is something that's coming up, go deeper in it, explore it. And that's what we're talking about a lot about the it's called bypassing
Yeah.
is not getting to the root. You were
Yeah.
talking about like doctors giving medicine or
So my example with like spiritual growth versus spiritual escapism is like using spiritual tools like pharmaceuticals. Say the majority of pharmaceuticals, they treat the symptom, they don't get to the root of the issue. And that is essentially how I was relating it to this
which
because
sometimes is important. I'm someone who doesn't take medicine, but wouldn't you say it's important sometimes? Like to treat the symptom before you get to the root?
I feel like it's a balance, but spiritual escapism, like what we're talking about, is only treating the symptom and not knowing how to go deeper into it. So for example, it's like, say, I could relate to this, like you're a high anxiety person or you have a lot of anxiety and all you do is like, okay, well, I just need my crystals, I just need to meditate to, calm my anxiety down and tell me everything's okay. And that could be
I was going to say
good.
sometimes that works.
And it might, but then it's going to happen the next day and the next day and the next day, and it's like it's still showing up for you because you never really took a moment to like go deeper into the anxiety to figure out
Yes.
what is this anxiety trying to tell me about myself. So that's the difference, is using a spiritual tool like meditation,
Or religion.
yeah.
Like, oh, I go to church on Sunday, but my life is what? Falling apart, or I'm not happy most of the time, or people irritate me all the time.
Yeah.
And but on Sunday you're woo
Yeah.
and flying high, that kind of thing.
No,
That's what you're saying.
no,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like there's these spiritual tools that are here, but there's a disconnect between just using them to feel good versus integrating them to heal and move forward.
For sure, because Joyce Meyer, I used to watch her. You remember her?
Every morning at 6
years
a.m.
ago after the stroke, yeah. And she used to say, like, we all know those church people who, once you get in the parking lot, they're giving you the middle finger because you just cut them off, or beep at you because you're taking too long to get out of here. And you're like, you just sat in. But it's taking that love, that God energy into your life. And some people think it's in a box and it stays on Sunday at church, or so it's integrating it is what you're saying. And
or it stays in a box in your meditation space at home, and that's when you can feel good. But in your real life, you're anxious and you don't know how to communicate, or you get triggered very easily. And all of these things are gonna happen. Like, it's part of the human experience. It's learning how to bring these tools and integrating them, like I just said, into your real life, to see actual growth and healing. So that is essentially what spiritual escapism or bypassing is.
Yeah, we were talking about, like, even people who get readings. I know this person who would get a reading every month, and I thought that was way too much, because I was like, oh my God, what could you possibly be getting? And then we talk about when I get because I like to get readings. I don't think you really get readings yourself, but I've gotten readings since I was a teenager. I've shared this before, like, I never really thought they were any that connected to me. Like, I never got what I was looking for from them. And I think it's because of my journey into mediumship, I'm sure. But now when I get a reading, if I ever get a reading, it is, I take the whole, I do believe, like, I can discern. We're talking about discernment. And when you understand what that is, you take and pull from it what you feel, you need, or what you resonate with, or what you're needing to hear in that moment. But I was talking with a friend the other day about this, about, we're talking about the readers on YouTube as an example, and they give a reading for, like, Pisces, or your your what is it called? Sign. And we were saying, what we're talking about is how, like, if you don't have that discernment, if you don't have an understanding of probably spirituality in general, and that's what we talk about, but if you don't have that discernment, like, that whole reading, whatever they would talk about, like, it stays, parts of it could stay with you. And those parts can alter your decision or your choice, because you're stuck on this broad reading. It's not individual. And that's why discernment, I think, is so important, and is to really let go of what's not fitting, not thinking like this ending, say this future part of the reading has to be your future part, and knowing that,
And so using, like, that tool, like receiving a reading for guidance, but doing it, once a month or once a week or more frequently, I can see, like, I do feel like can be a way to
bypass,
because you're not discerning, or you could not be discerning, but it's like you're using this reader, this tool, this outside source to, like, help you move forward, instead of seeing. So, like, someone like that, I would say to them, like, a lot of solar plexus energy, like, where are you giving your power to this person or this teacher or this, religious figure, instead of being able to, like, honor yourself or how you feel or what you feel is right for you. Because readers or teachers they're only sharing their light, not the whole truth. Like your truth is different from your truth, and like that's where the discernment comes in.
I was going to say, another friend I was talking to, she's like, for a week, I'm not listening to any podcasts,
Yeah.
reading any books. And you would think that's really healthy, a book. Like,
Yeah.
no, a book you learn, but again, you're learning through someone else's growth and experience. And even though that knowledge and everything is great, but so yeah, it's like you could do it even in something, quote, healthy, you
Yeah.
know? And that's what we're talking about, spiritualism, which you would
Yeah.
think is healthy because there's,
Yeah.
you know, God behind it type of thing. But
Or, for example, you brought this up as an example when we were talking before we started the recording, but how if someone comes to us and they're like, what can I do to just, like, there's so many negative people around me. I just don't want to be around it. I don't want to be around the energy. It's not good for me.
or set up yourself where like,
Yeah.
oh, no, like this week or this time I'm not
Yeah.
allowing any of that near me.
And although like you can sit there and think like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be around negative people or people who are like that all the time. Like, who would want to be? And that's not the point of this example. The point of the example is seeing where you're judging that experience as negative, bad, wrong, and a problem that they need to deal with, instead of seeing how seeing the situation deeper. Like if I see someone that's negative all the time, I just see them for where they're at, and it's like, wow, they must be really stuck in their own world to hold that much like anger or resentment or whatever it is, but I don't take it on as mine. Like, and that's, you know, the difference is using a crystal to protect yourself instead of maybe acknowledging or seeing where you're taking it on because you feel some of those emotions within you that you don't want to recognize or admit, and work through in that way. Maybe someone's being ungrateful around you and it's like really triggering you, and how could they not be grateful? And there's so many things, and although that's very true, it's also, where are you judging the parts in yourself that are in pain, or are feeling bad for yourself, or those moments where you're not feeling grateful about something, you know, that's happening for you, because that's part of the human experience. And spiritual growth is being able to go into that and be like, you know what, yeah, this was a really like crappy situation that happened to me and I wish it didn't. Or instead of like letting yourself get triggered by someone around you, when something is happening around you that's bringing something up in you, or that makes you be like, I don't want to be around this person, or experience that, it's the universe's way of showing us what we are resisting within ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean you have to continue to be around this person 24/7 and allow this type of behavior. What it means is to just go a little bit deeper, like the anxiety example. What is this anxiety teaching me? What is this experience showing me? Like, what am I resisting, or what did I learn to suppress or ignore? Was I taught that like you need to always be grateful, you're a good person if you're grateful, and if you're ungrateful that's bad, and blah blah blah? Like, if you were taught that, how can you go into that and realize like, no, things are going to happen in life and you're not going to be grateful all the time? That's not bad. It's learning to, one of our last episodes, like, go with the flow of it and acknowledge it and honor it, and not resist it.
And that's why I think like spiritual practices are good, obviously, because you just mentioned gratitude. And I think about, you know, a lot of experiences that I've been in these past couple of years, for me, that have been challenging and hard, and really all the emotions, like, and some pretty deep pain. But I run to it personally. That's what
To the pain?
I run to, because I really want to understand it. And I put myself, I guess, in situations where some people could be like, you know, they would remove themselves or whatever. I sit in an uncomfortable situation. I would run to it because I want to understand. And I'm not trying to understand and see this outside source or other person for what I'm trying to see what's my connection to it. Why am I sitting? You know what I'm saying? So I think that, and we've talked about this before, about getting curious and getting curious about yourself, like in these situations. So that's why I always try to understand. I'm like, well, bypassing would be removing myself from the table. And removing myself, which also in some balance situations, it could be a boundary. Like I don't choose to sit here.
Well, that's what I was
But
gonna say with what you were just saying. Like, what you do, what you just explained, I wouldn't say is spiritual bypassing, but I almost feel like it's on the opposite end of the spectrum, because there should always be balance of not just forcing yourself to be in your pain and understand it, because like on the other side of the spectrum, like you should be able or allowed to get away from it sometimes. You should be able to.
I think I'm learning some of that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why I was so disconnected from it, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of go into it and I want to know where I am.
But and I'm sure people like listening can relate to that, about maybe being too much in their pain and trying to figure out things too much, or and then feeling stuck in it and overwhelmed, and like it's just always happening. There's this here, and then this, I thought this was over, and then this came up, and then like this pain showed up for me. And even that in itself could be like this underlying like belief system of feeling like it's your responsibility to like fix things, or feeling like there's something wrong with you and you're doing this work to fix yourself, which is a whole different belief system that can use a little unraveling and working through to then love yourself and letting go of that feeling responsible, feeling like it's your job to keep yourself, to fix yourself, or to fix people or situations, or like, so that's almost on the opposite end of the spectrum. But again, I feel like there's some people that will be able to resonate with that too, for sure.
That came up for me actually in the past week or two.
Yeah.
And I already caught it very soon on, 2 days in a row. And, but it was trying to brace other people from pain, and trying to, which again, I've known this about myself, which is crazy that it still kind of plays out for me to finally be like, oh, finally, I've known this about myself. I'm a middle child. I'm a fixer. I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to get along.
But it's more than just knowing something about yourself. It's recognizing the belief system under it. You can know that about yourself for years, but you still haven't changed the belief.
Because the way I viewed at this time in my life is, I saw how I was manipulating the situation. I saw how, so these are harsh words or maybe negative words, but I looked within. Like I constantly, know that it always goes back to me. So whether my intention was beautiful and I just want everyone to get along and I want everyone, it still was me thinking I have control over someone else's journey, or that I even should interfere with someone else's journey. Yeah. And so it was a big thing for me. I think I was able to see it finally. But yeah, it's the belief under it. So if I stayed in, but I just want to help everyone, and I that's what you do. People don't know that that this will fix it and this will help it. And they need me to point that out. And it's not true. And it's so much energy put on that, and wasted energy from myself, where I could put into a whole different area of my life and acknowledge. And again, I'm just getting to some of this stuff now, but it's crazy when you look at things from a different angle. But
so just kind of going back to like being able to recognize, and like I said, because you were like, and we were talking about this before, like we're all gonna have moments where we're gonna want to escape, because life is hard and things happen, and but going back to like your example of the opposite end of the spectrum, it's just always about bringing in balance, about knowing when to go deeper and just not resisting it. Like at the end of the day, these spiritual tools that are used to escape or bypass certain feelings or emotions, that maybe you don't want to recognize or go into, is really just about trying to keep yourself safe or protect yourself from feeling bad. So how do we, move forward through that, or stop using these tools to kind of escape and actually start to see real growth? And I would say how to know if you are bypassing or escaping is if you've been on this journey for some time and you still feel like nothing's changed, or like the same things are repeating and your life is the same, or these same patterns keep coming up, whether it's with this person or a new person or whatever, noticing where you might be aware of all these things, the right thing to do, the right way to take care of yourself, the right way to take care of your trigger, but are you treating the symptom, or are you going deeper to understand that trigger, the root of the trigger, that belief that, you're responsible for fixing everything, or whatever it is, being able to do that.
Yeah. And I think it also poses questions of, even when you create your own belief surrounding something, I guess that coincides with like a boundary then, your belief. Because, I was thinking the other day talking to a friend, like, well, what is morals then? Because, we're talking about relationships and how all the different relationships that are out there. And I'm like, well, what what is morals? What is sacred connection between, you and another person? And that's a belief you get to create now. Yeah. And that's how she was kind of telling me. I'm like, but what's right? And it kind of like, she was throwing some stuff out there, and I was like, well, no, that's not. And she's like, but you get to create that. So I guess that's with boundaries then, like, well, this is what I would want or accept, or that kind of thing.
Yeah. We did have a couple questions that we received and found connected to this topic. So just seeing, I feel like we probably went over most of them already just by talking, but like, why do so many people accidentally fall into spiritual bypassing without realizing it? That's actually what I was
Without
gonna say.
realizing it?
Yeah, without realizing it. Which was what I was gonna say before I like cut off my own sentence and said something else, was they do this because of the resistance, or not the resistance, but the judgment that they're putting on the things that are coming up for them. Those, I want to protect myself because I don't want to be around those negative people, or I don't want to be around negative energy.
I thought maybe because the pain was too much.
Well, it's judging that the pain is bad. I feel like that's, I mean, I could see how it could be a little bit of both, but I feel like if the pain could be a lot, but if you don't see it as bad and you're seeing it as an opportunity to understand yourself or your soul or what you're needing.
Yeah, it would be a judgment, I suppose, if you're deep in the pain because you think you shouldn't be in that pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you think it shouldn't have happened to you, or you think like there's so many shoulds and resistance to
why me, poor me,
Yeah.
which again is not bad to touch on.
Yeah.
Like, because we do need to feel sorry for ourselves sometimes. We do. I think that's like kind of like some of the inner child work too, because
a lot of us weren't validated.
But you don't stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. But why do people fall into it? It's a way to protect yourself. Yeah. And so again, that's why we're talking about this. It's not to blame you or tell you you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It's to just bring awareness so that we really can start to go deeper, so that you can start to see resolve instead of these repeating patterns or these same people being attracted, into your life.
Mm-hmm. And you can find, I'm still thinking about, sitting at the table, like, or I have this vision in my head where, my intentions were good and I was trying to fix and, you know, the people I care about and love, my family, and do this and do that. But then being able to see myself from a different perspective of, taking what's theirs in a sense, manipulating the energy, like taking their choice away or their feelings away or their journey or whatever it is, like, but being able to do that and being okay with that too, because that's not what am I trying to say? Like it just shows yourself more information and more, you know, and I forgot what I was going to say, but
that's what it is like letting go of that, like, judgment. Like you said, you realize you were manipulating and how it's seen as a harsh word, but really it's like, again, why were you using manipulation? Why was
to make
anyone
myself feel better? Because if you're better, whoever this I was trying to fix, if you're better and everything's great, that means my life is going to be better.
Which means you feel safe
Yes,
and secure.
Yes.
So then in that case, is manipulation really a bad thing if someone's just trying to keep themselves safe?
But it's not, and that's what I was getting at with this is, it's not bad or good. It's information, and that information. Now I could be like, oh, you just want to be safe in these moments. So what would make you safe here and right now when this is going on, and you're not going to fix it, and you're not going to try to show. What could make Carol safe in this moment? Maybe I remove myself. Maybe I say, well, you'll figure it out. And I'm here if you need to talk or what. Yes. So that's growth then in that area. But
no, exactly. And then
that's why I like to give examples, just so, like, that's why I was staying stuck on that, because I wanted to give an example how you get through it, or how you come out on the other side, because, and then if that's who you are, like, that's who I am, a fixer and all this stuff my whole life, and I could channel that fixing into a different area. People do ask me for help, in my opinion, and they do ask, and that's where I could offer it.
Yeah, there's just a difference between, like, honoring that part of you versus feeling like it's your responsibility.
Yes. And that's a journey in itself. And I'm glad I'm awakened to that.
And then just one more before we finish up, which I feel like is a good one to kind of wrap things up, is it possible to balance staying positive while doing shadow work, or, like, through your spiritual journey, you're feeling through the harder emotions? And that, I feel like, similar to your example about how you kind of go to the pain and you kind of, but then we can feel stuck in it sometimes. It's learning how to shift your focus. Like, that's all it is creating a time and a place. Like, you don't have to have a trigger, recognize it, and fix it in that moment while this trigger is coming up for you with this person. Like, as long as you can acknowledge it, then you can set a time and a space to go into it. Maybe it's before you go to bed at night, you want to just sit in meditation with yourself and ask myself, hey, why did I get so triggered with this situation? And whatever it is, like, so it's not that you have to be doing it all the time and you're never going to have that trigger again. It's just being able to shift your focus, honoring that trigger in the moment, because whatever it is still triggered you for a reason, and it still pissed you off, it still upset you, whatever it is. Just finding time to go deeper to understand why it came up, but then also being able to let it go then and not dwell on it or feel like it's something that you have to do better the next time, or do right the next time, because that trigger could happen 10 more times before that belief or whatever it is within you really shifts to recognize, like, no, it's not my responsibility, or whatever it is that was.
And I think the answer is yes for me. For me too, you can. Because even you said before, what would you say all the time about being able to hold space for the opposite?
Like
kind of like the same thing, because for me, you know, I'd wonder like sometimes I wonder how I got through a lot of this time that's been challenging and hard for me because I put on this face here and then I go, you know, whatever, but talking it through, it's probably again wearing my heart and my emotions on my sleeve. It's probably very healthy because it doesn't have to be I was viewing it for some time, a moment of like, you know, and then I have to, it's exhausting, show up like this over here. But when I was showing up in this other way, I was also allowing a lot of gratitude, a lot of beauty, like just going outside and going for a walk. So it does all happen in a day or simultaneously, or so you can have positivity and shadow growth happening at the same time for sure.
And that again is like a part of this whole life, is the balance, is the flow of it, is the back and forth of it. This topic or this conversation, I feel like, is really just to bring more awareness. And again, not to say that you're doing something wrong, but to know that if something that we said resonated with you, then there could be an area of your life where you're like, maybe I am ready to go deeper into it. Not blaming yourself for, you know, spiritual escapism or bypassing all of these years or these last couple months with this one situation, because it got you to this point where you were then able to recognize, maybe I am able to go deeper into it now. Maybe I do feel ready. Maybe it's not such a bad thing. Maybe I am putting judgment on this situation when really, like, my soul is just asking to be understood. So just going along with the conversation again, like, you guys can let us know if it resonated with you, if there's been any moments where you feel like you have been bypassing, or don't share that. Like I said, we all have times where we do it. So really, I feel like it was just about bringing awareness to go deeper, instead of like acknowledging where you're only treating the symptom, the anxiety, the whatever it is, and not allowing yourself to get curious and ask yourself, why is this coming up? Because that's where the growth comes from. So,
Thank you.
bye.